Welcome back, student. So today we are taking that lecture number 7, and in this lecture we are going to discuss software testing, quality assurance. Then we talk about the unit testing, and then we look at how we can perform that Microsoft unit testing framework, which is present in the Visual Studio, and how we can use it. Okay. The first thing is software testing. Important phase in software development lifecycle. We can do the testing manually, or we can do it automatically, like unit testing, or we can run the things on our own and then give some input and check the output. So we can manually test, or we can do it automatically. So software testing is cost effective development. The reason is that if we are testing the software thoroughly, and what you can say that in detail, we are doing the in detail testing, it means that we are saving the time that about the error handling. So we during the development process, and after finishing the development, we thoroughly test everything before that software go out to the customers. So in this way we can effectively uh, manage the cost and try to reduce it. And of course, if we are thoroughly testing the software before it go out to the public and to the users, it means the product can be improved before it can be used. Okay, so we have a very good product that go out inside to the users. Test automation, of course, if we can do some testing automatically, that will help us to reduce the development time and the uh, uh, but when we say that testing automation, it means that we need to consider that testing at the design level. So when we are designing the software, we need to consider what kind of test we need to apply. And if we are trying to test individual component before we can test the complete system, that it will make that particular specific software development more reliable and more efficient. Again, when we talk about the quality checks, we have multiple quality checks. We have functionality, the the function, the component, that what they need to do, are they are doing it properly. And then we check for the reliability. I mean, are those components are reliable, they are scalable. We have a usability testing, so we can use them in an effective way. What is the efficiency or the speed or the speed of that particular specific software. Maintainability, we can also check for the maintainability, that this particular specific software in the future, if we need to change it, we need to modify it, it is easy to change and modify. So that's a maintainability test. And portability mean that we are porting that particular specific software from one platform to the other. Is it portable? So all these are the quality checks that normally we perform. Testing, so a process of analyzing a software item to detect the difference between the existing and the required conditions, and to evaluate the features of the software items. So we are testing what is the current state of the software. Okay, and then what we expected that particular specific software to do. So is are they are matching with each other? If they are matching with each other, it means that particular specific software is doing what we want it to do. Okay, so that is the testing process. Early start of the testing in the software development lifecycle, that reduce the cost and time. I mean, if we start thinking when we are gathering the requirements, when we are designing the complete design and architecture of the software, if we start thinking about the testing at that time, it will help us, because during the design process, during the requirement analysis, we are looking different components, and then we are saying how we can test each and every component. So if we are incorporating that thoughts of testing during those early cycles or early developments, early stages of the software development, then it will reduce the time and cost. Can be started from requirement gathering. I mean, as I discussed, we need to start that earlier, and difficult to decide when to end and testing. So definitely that's something which is like we we will never be able to say that we are 100% tested that particular specific software and there is no bug possible. So that is something which is nobody can claim. We are saying that we are making the security systems super duper good, but at the end the hackers always find a way in to hack the systems. So it doesn't matter that how long good you are in your testing, how thorough you are in your testing, still you may overlook a few points which may be not necessary, but maybe not that important, but some they could become important when some bugs or some errors occur. So we have two. One is a verification and the other one is a validation. So verification is more like when we are getting the idea of the software, are we you building the right thing? I mean, do we need to build a mobile application, or do we build a desktop application, or do we need to build something which is like uh, web application? So that is the verification. We are trying to get the idea and then we are verifying that particular idea, that where it will happen. On the other hand, the validation is more like that yes, we decided that we are going to build a mobile application, but are we doing it in a right way? We are building the right components. So this is more like validating what we want to do, okay, or what we want to develop meets all the functionality, and here it meets intended behavior. It means that what kind of functionality in the possible software that we are looking in, and here we are actually implementing those things and validating them, that are they doing the same functionality or they are showing the same behavior that we intended from that particular specific software. First, and include checking for documentation and code. I mean, before we can start implementation, that is the verification process comes in. After verification and that particular validation comes checking the overall product. So we verify and then we check the overall product about static activities, including collecting reviews, walkthroughs, and inspections. On the other hand, the validation is a dynamic activities because we are running the software, and then the users are coming in, they are using it, and then that's static activity. This is a dynamic activity. That is an objective process, and that is a subjective process. So these are a few differences between the verification and the validation. Software testing. So if we in the Visual Studio we have the test explorer, we can configure with third-party testing as well. I mean, we also have the Microsoft unit testing framework, but we can also configure with the third-party testing things. We also have a live unit testing, IntelliTesting testing. That's again code coverage, how much code it is coverage, what is the Microsoft fakes. So these are the different testing tools which are available in the Visual Studio. So the test explorer, it will help us to run tests and see the results. Microsoft unit framework, test framework that provide a framework for testing and testing the managed code. And then code coverage, determine which code is used for testing, and the Microsoft fake, isolate testing code from the rest of the software. So for example, we have multiple components in the software. So with the help of the Microsoft fake, what we can do, we can isolate the specific component from the rest of the software that we want to test. So that will help us to test the different components in the isolation and check that this particular specific component is working perfectly fine, and then we can look at the integration of that component with the other. So testing, again, define and run the unit tests. We can define and run it. We can maintain the code health, ensure the code coverage, and find errors and the faults. So that is the testing in the Visual Studio. So let's start with a project. So we are just creating a simple project. We can say that this is a week number 7. So we can select create a new project, and then we can say it's a console application, then click on the next. Week 07, that is a testing project. We say next, and then we select the what you can say that the framework, the .NET framework that we are using right now, it is 0.6. So we create it, and once we have created, it will create that particular specific project for us, and it creates that program.cs. And in the .NET 6, you can see that particular specific uh, way to writing that particular program. Actually, in the background, they have that, main program class. Then we have a main, so that is there, but hidden from the user. So you can start coding here, but definitely if you don't want, if you want to go back to the classical way, yes, we can just remove those things. We can write our code by ourselves. So first of all, then once we have created that particular specific basic project, that in which we are going to implement certain functionalities, we are creating some programs over there, that is our main project. And then we can add another project for adding the testing parts. Okay, so what we are going to do, we are going to right click on this solution, not on the project. We are going to only right click on the solution, and then we need to add. And then once we add, we need to add a new project. So when we add a new project, now on the search bar, you type test, and when you type test, you will show you a few options. So here we are selecting the Microsoft test project. Okay, and then we click next. Once we click next on that one, so we can give the project name, and the location is same, that is the week 07 testing. That is our solution that we have just created, and in that particular specification we are creating another new project which is only have the unit tests inside it. So once we have created that particular specific, we select the framework again, that should be the same for the main project, and then we click on the create. Once we create it, now you can have two different projects in your solution. So we have one where we are writing our code, where we have program.cs, and then we also have our testing project. So if you look at that particular specific, now what we need to do, we need to connect that this particular testing project is actually connected with this particular specific other project, the main, where we have the actual code that we want to test. So what we need to do, we right click on the dependencies. We want to add a project reference, and once we click on that, it will show us our current project in the solution. We select that one and click OK. So now you can see that inside under the project, under the test project, we have that particular specific project link. So we have connected this project with this one, and then we can write the unit testing code, which will help us to test the different components or different methods and programs inside our main project. Okay, so first thing first of all, we need to go and change that particular program.cs, so that which is more, it is the default generation, so we can try to change it like this. And one thing that we need to make sure, that this program is public and this main method is also public. Why we need it? Because if we want to access that particular specific program inside our test project, then they need to be public, so that we can access them outside of the project, the class. Otherwise we can't do that. Okay, so we are trying to make them public. Then if we go and put the default file, that is unit test1.cs, if you look into that one, it is actually a namespace unit testing, and then you say test class. This is a test class which is testing some in which we are going to write some unit tests, and then we have a public class unit test1, and this is a method which is present inside this one. And then we have this is a test method. We are just telling that this is a test method which is going to test some specific code that is coming from our main project. Okay, so we are going to change that particular specific test method one. And now if we look at our main program, it is just printing a hello world on the screen, on the console. So what we are trying to do in this particular specific method, so first of all, we say that this is the expected outcome of this particular specific test. what will be the code that we are testing, what is the outcome, what is the expected outcome of that particular specific code. So we are say hello world, that is the expected outcome. And then inside the code we are saying that using the variable sw, a new string writer, we are writing the string. And now instead of saying that console.set out sw, instead saying that we are telling that from the console the output, rather than printing on the command prompt, we want that this particular specific console print the things on the sw, that is a string writer. Okay, so now we are intercepting what is printed at the console and then receiving them inside the software, that string writer. So once we receive those information, then we are saying that we are actually running our main program, which is present inside our main project. So week07 underscore testing, that is the name of the project, and inside we have a class program, and inside the class program we have the main method. So actually we are running that particular specific method. So once we run that particular specific method, in this particular specific method, if we go back, we have that console and it writes something on the console. Now this particular specific line will not be printed on the command line, rather it is going to be printed on that particular specific string writer. So string writer catch that particular output from the console, and now we are saying that variable result is equal to, again we can also have a string, right? We can have a the name of variable, meaning dynamically automatically based on the whatever is coming on the right side, it will assume the style, what you can say, it will assume that particular specific type of the object or by type of the variable. So sw, so we are converting that particular string writer to string, and dot trim, it means if there is some normally when you have to write line, it will write the new character, new line character /n. So we are just trimming those known white spaces or the control characters. So we are going to trim, and that's the result over there. And now we are checking, that is the point where we are actually checking that what actual this program has printed and what is expected. So we are comparing them, and here we say assert dot r equal. So we are telling that we are doing the unit test, we are asserting, we are trying to confirm that are the expected outcome and the actual outcome which is actually coming from the program dot main, are they equal or not. If they are equal, it means we have a success, I mean the test has been passed. Otherwise, if they are not equal, the test should be failed. Okay, so now this is the expected outcome, and I have already explained you this particular specific part of the code. And now if we go into the test, on our menus we go to test, we have a test explorer. So text explorer is this one. So you can see this on the sometime it will may appear on the right side, but here it is coming on the bottom. So that is well. So now if we click on that particular specific, because we have written our test method 1, and in that particular specific test method 1 we have tell that this is a test method. Okay, so whenever we are going into the test explorer and click on that particular play button, it will look into the test project and then see that how many test methods are there. It's only one right now, so it will try to execute it, and once it is execute, it will tell you that yes, one passed. So you have one test method and that has been passed successfully. Okay, so now let us go back and change our main method again. So for example, instead of having only the hello world, we are also running a loop in which we are printing the values from 1 to 10 on the console as well. So we say that we have a hello world and we are running that particular specific method in the main program, and then we are printing 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Okay, so once we have done that, and now if we try to run that particular specific test again, it will say that one is failed. The reason is that we have not changed our test method yet, which need to be having the same kind of output. So there we are expecting that it will print the hello world, and then now it is printing the hello world, and then each line 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, and definitely that output is not equal to each other, and that's why that particular specific test has been failed. So now we go back into our test class, or where we are. So first of all, we are going to generate test one expected. So test one, what is the expected outcome for that particular specific test one? So we are generating it. First of all, we are saying that SW is equal to new string writer. We use console.set out SW, console.write line. We say hello world. That exactly that we are doing inside our main program. And then for I is equal to 1 2 and I is less than equal to 10, I plus plus, we are writing 1 2 3 up to 10 on the console as well. And once we have done, so we are saying that sw.sorting.trim, and then expected, and then we say console.setout is equal to console.out. So actually we are again shifting it back to the standard output for the console. Okay, and that is what it is generating that particular specific output. Okay, so expected, so in the expected we are putting that particular specific output. So now we have the this particular expected string that we are expecting is coming out of the main program, and then here in the test method, first we are generating that particular specific expected string, and then again we are doing the same thing, that we have a string writer with the name of the variable SW. We are setting the output of the console to the SW. We are running the main program. Main program, it is console.write line, and that will be received by our string writer. We are getting what has been printed by the main method in the string writer, so we get that results, and then again we are checking that are the results are equal to our expected outcomes. If they are equal, it means we have passed the test again. So again, if we try to run the program, you can see that this particular specific, again it is like it show that when you click on the play button, it will test that particular specific, run that test method one, and check that is the test has been passed or not. Okay, so this is the way that we are going to test. So we can have try to go with another test method with the return. So we have public, static. Again, we want to make it public so that we can access it in the other project. So static int sum, int a, int b, and it is going to return us. I have written down in the lambda arrow format, so lambda notation. So it's a plus b, so it will return me the values of whatever the two inputs comes in. So here we have the test method. So we are having another test method. We create a new test method too, and then we are annotating that particular specific method with the test method, because this will tell our test explorer that how much test methods are there. If we don't write this particular specific line, it will not execute this method in the test. Okay, so we have to make sure that we are telling our test explorer that this is a test method. So then we have int expected. Inside this particular method, we have declared a variable that is expected outcome. Expected is equal to 567 plus 890, and then we trying to run this particular program for our main math project in the program class and the sum method, and then we are giving the same values that we are putting here, and then we get the results back from this particular specific method. And again, assert dot equal, we are checking that if this particular value and expected outcome and the actual result are equal or not. And now if we try to run our tests inside our test explorer, now you can see that it has actually run two methods, unit test 1, and then we have a test method 1, test method 2, and they are both passed. It means the unit test that we apply, the both methods have passed those particular specific tests, and there is no, so we are what we are expecting as an output, with the programs or the components are giving us the same output. So that is how we can test. So I give you two different flavors when we are printing something on the screen, when we are testing return on the return value. Okay, so this is how we play with the unit test. So unit testing, test and verify individual classes. So Unit testing, it's like unit, individual components. Like I have tested main program, and then I have tested one method which is present. So it is like each and every small components we are testing for their behavior, for their functionality. So that is of the individual classes, usually automated but can be manual. Of course we can do it manually, but normally when we are applying the testing, we test it automatically. For example, we are dividing two numbers and we know that the second number on which we are dividing it cannot be zero. So we can test before we can go into the actual production. The reason is that if we are giving the zero as a second number, that will be a runtime error. Okay. Again, the test smallest possible parts of its behavior, the unit test. I just give you the example of that sum two numbers, return the value. It is testing that particular specific small component or small method inside the program. Each unit is tested separately before integration. Each unit, each method, each small line is tested before it can be integrated into the complete software. We also have some other software tools, like we have a Selenium, we have a Test Complete, Silk Test, WinRunner, Vector, IBM Rational Functional Tester. So these are different testing software testing tools which are available in the market. But definitely we are using the Visual Studio. So in the Visual Studio, there's a built-in Microsoft unit testing framework. We are going to use that one, but definitely there are other software testing tools which are available in the market. They will help you to automate those testing processes. They will have different testing patterns, that we can use, and that will help us to test thoroughly our software. And these are some references for this lecture. I hope you have enjoyed. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.